Hello and welcome to this module where we are going to discuss bill of quantities and product or service costing. One of the most important aspects of service provision or manufacturing is determining the cost of the service or the cost of the product. In order to remain competitive, price is an important factor. So in order for you to establish a price that is fair and that will also keep you profitable, you need to know exactly how much you are spending on materials especially. Because once you know how much you spend on materials, you can then add all the other service fees on top and ensure that you remain profitable and competitive. Bill of materials help us to determine the costing of materials for finished products or for maintenance jobs. We gave an example of a product A that is made of two sub-assemblies, B and C, and then each of the sub-assemblies has got two components. And we said these quantities that you see in the box represent the quantity of that item required to make one of the parent item. So when you see these three, it is the number of E that we need to make one of the parent B. So meaning that if we need two of B to make A, then we need 3 times 2 of E in order for us to make one of A. Because one of B needs 3E, so 2 of B will need 6 of E. So this is how a bill of quantities works. So it is the recipe that shows us how our end product is put together or it is assembled. So we are able to calculate the total cost of making this product because our database has got the standard costs or the average prices for each of these components. So once we know how much of each of these is required, we can calculate what is the total cost of making one end product. So what I've done is I've translated this bill of quantities into a table and I put it in MS Excel so that I can demonstrate how on a two-dimensional worksheet you can determine the bill of quantities for such a product structure. So this is the table that represents our product structure. From this first column until the fourth column, that's the matrix that says we need item A is the parent item and we need one of it. But item B is a child of item A. So A is a parent to B and we need 2 of B to make one of A. That's why it says units for one parent. In other words, how many of B do we need to make the parent, which is A? And then the next column says units for one end item or one end product. So for this line, by coincidence, A is both the parent of B and it is also the end product. So we need 2 of B to make this end product. But when it comes to C, C is also a child of A and we need only 1 of C to make one of A. and the same A is the end product. When we come to D, D is a child of B, right? D is a child of B, and in order to make one of B, we need one of D. So there's one needed of D to make B according to our structure, 1D to make 1B. But you can see that in order to make the finished product A, we need 2 of B. So if there is 1 of D for 1 of B, then it means we need 2 of D for 2 of B. So that is what is now represented here, to say to make the parent B, we only need 1, but to make the finished product A, we need 2. Same thing applies with item E. The parent of E is B. The parent of E is B. So to make 1B, we need 3 of E. So meaning to make 2 of B, we need 6 of E. So 2 of B is what is needed to make the end product. So the column that says quantity for parent, we are talking of this parent B, so we need 3 for the parent B, but for the end product we need 6 because we have to multiply by this 2. So for E, we need 3 for the parent B, but we need 6 for the end product A. So the same thing also applies for F and G. So this is how the bill of quantities helps us to determine the total quantity of each item that is required. But since we are interested in the costing, what we now do is we look at the unit cost of each of these items. So we now say item B costs $2 per unit, C is $5 per unit, D is $4 per unit. So we now multiply this unit price times the quantity that is required to make the final product, and that now gives us the total cost per component for the end product. So you can see that we have $4, we have 1 times 5, which is 5, 2 times 4, which is 8, 6 times 3, which is 18, 2 times 6, which is 12, 4 times 2, which is 8, because the quantity of end product needed is 1. If we now change the quantity of the end product, in other words, we have decided we are no longer making 1 of A, we are making 2. We can even say we are making 500. All we do is simply change this column and we put the new total number of the end product. So in which case now we are now multiplying that times 2 to get 8. 1 times 5 times 2 to get 10. 2 times 4 times 2 to get 16, and so forth. So whatever quantity you plug here now tells you the cost of making the whole order. So that is the cost to us, the material cost for making the whole order. Later on, we'll be looking at this bill of quantities from a reordering point of view, where we are concerning ourselves more with the quantity we need rather than the cost of the actual product. So for now, our concentration has been on how much does it cost to make our end product. So you can take your time to analyze this table. You'll discover that it's quite easy if you compare the table with the bill of quantities here. Each level has got its parent. and that level has got its own parent in A. So the numbers inside here are the numbers of that item required to make one of the parent. The 3 is the number of E required to make one of B. So if we now want to know how much of E we need to make one of A, we must now multiply that 3 by 2, so that to get 2B we have 6E. In the next module, we are going to be looking at stock replenishment methods, of which one of them is the material requirements planning. That is also going to bring us back to this bill of quantities, but our concentration then is going to be on the actual quantities required for each item. So I'll see you in the next module.